Hey there, this is Jason from Stygian Crown, and you're experiencing Poppitt's Corner.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Poppitt's Corner, a very special one as always. And this was probably the toughest for me in the whole Poppitt's Corner kind of, I don't know, top videos wise for me, because it's like literally every genre that you can ever choose from for a desert island. And we're doing the top 5 desert island records today. And of course, I'd like to bring on my good buddy, Mr. Shannon Fry. Shannon, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me again. It's always good to be here.
Absolutely, my friend. And of course, we can't forget the guests tonight, guys. Really appreciate you guys coming on. Of course, we're talking to Sean and Brian Korban of the Mighty Heretic. Guys, how you doing, man? Thanks so much again for joining us.
Man, good to see you, Tanner.
Yeah, thanks for including us. This is fun.
It's going to be a really tough episode, like I said, for me personally, and I'm sure I can speak for all of us here. But yeah, why don't Shannon? Why don't you start us off, if you don't mind?
Okay. So, being that this was so difficult, the first one I chose was Wasp Live in the Raw album. Because to me, this is one of the greatest live albums that has ever been made. And I'm a huge Wasp fan, obviously. So that's my choice. It has all the songs, you know, some that aren't even released on albums, and they're just fucking kick ass.
Yeah, I like
Very
Wasp.
cool, man. Brian, why don't you go ahead, man? What's your number 5?
I went with a major influence in my life. I couldn't leave them out, and I couldn't live without them. So it's a collection of Beatles songs called the Red Album. I don't know if you guys know that album. It's a greatest hits, the 62 to 66. The early songs, every hit on it. I think there's at least like almost 30 songs on it. So I knew I'd get my money's worth on the desert island with that one. And just such an early influence on me, the Beatles, with my songwriting and just the harmonies. And still to this day, I could listen to it every day. So that's my pick.
It's a good choice. That's a great one too. I like the Red and the Blue albums that they put out. So.
It's a great collection of songs, both of them, you know.
So, and then of course the Wasp choice. I can't go wrong with that either. Sean, go ahead. What's your number 5, sir?
My number 5 was Gary Newman, The Pleasure Principle.
So, go ahead.
It's important to me just because, that's the start of that whole synth era of, he just innovated on Moog stuff. And I don't know, it's dark. It was different at the time. Certainly not metal, but I just love that album, man. It just takes me back to when I was growing up to that time. And being that you're going to be on a desert island, I don't want all heavy stuff. Obviously, I want a mix. I don't know that I did it though on this mix, on this set of 5 that I have, but I've changed this so many times. But yeah, Gary Newman's Pleasure Principles is one of my favorite records, so I put that on the list.
Now, was that the record with the song Cars?
Yes, that's got
okay.
Cars. That was the hit. That's like Stairway to Heaven on that album. You know what I mean? You kind of skip over it because you've heard it so much. I mean, it's a great song, but yeah, there's so many other great tracks on that record that are not, exposed like they should be. But yeah, he's just fantastic, man. And he's still going, and he's got some other great albums. I mean, there's so many more that I would have listed, not just Gary Newman, but if I had to pick one out of his collection, his Two Boy Army stuff's great too. But yeah, that's one of my favorite records. So,
his songs really translate good into a heavy format, like with a heavy metal band.
Yeah, it's dark.
You could tell the way he was writing and the chord patterns it was new wave, I guess technically, but his songs are heavy. Yeah.
Nine Inch Nails recovered him, and Manson covered him. So he's influenced that industrial sound for sure. We're talking about 79 to 82 was his prime. He's still playing and putting records out. It's not like how it was then, but yeah, I just remember as a kid, like seeing him do a live concert video, and he came out in this, he had that kind of Bowie Ziggy Stardust thing happening, but he came out in like this egg and was driving around on just some bizarre shit. Never seen that in my life. I was like, that's just fucking cool, So anyway, he was different. and I just like the darkness. And it's like you said, Brian. It's got its heavy moments, not metal but dark. Gloomy kind of shit going on. He's great.
I think Sean is the first person I probably have ever heard to compare Cars to Stairway to Heaven. So I'm gonna have
only I'm only talking about how big that song got at radio.
Okay.
I always skip over Back in Black on Back in Black because there's so many other great songs. How many times have you heard that song?
Well, we could, dude. That would be that would be a different episode. That would be probably a cool episode where like popular songs that we don't skip over. But, we'll get into that hopefully on another topic.
I don't care if I hear it.
Yeah,
that's an idea, guy.
So, alrighty. So this was the first album that literally just popped in my mind when somebody said, let's do the top 5 desert island records. Now, I like a lot of eclectic styles of music, as sure as we all do. So I just think this is like one of the greatest albums ever, and it's one of the most popular albums ever. But I'm going with Miles Davis, and I'm going with Kind of Blue because like I have to have my jazz, and to me, this is one of my all-time favorite jazz records ever. Period. End of story. So this is how I kind of got into jazz, minus the Peanuts Christmas soundtrack. So. With Vince Guaraldi and whatnot, but I've always loved the tone of this album. I think every player on it is really amazing and just works so well. And I still have not heard an album this cohesive, especially in jazz. So yeah, I'm going with Kind of Blue for that reason.
The world's biggest selling jazz album, and that was going to be on my list. So I'm glad I took it off because we were going to have the same one. But yeah, fantastic record, love it.
Wow, cool. All right, so I'm still sticking with the heavy shit. So my next one is the band Emperor and the album Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk. To me, this guy, man, Isan, this guy can write Star Wars and Star Trek anthem themes, and he does it on this album. And not only is there super aggressive, fast, heavy shit, it melancholies out and goes through all these different emotions and moods. And to me, it's just one of the greatest albums ever made. So, Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk.
I'm surprised you didn't do, what is it, the Nightside Eclipse or whatever that album is, the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what about this one did it for you? Was it just the dark, heavy tones of it, or just?
It was a way better production. The music was beyond what that was to me. The way the guitars sound on that, the way the drums sound on it, the overall feel of it, it's its own entity.
Love that, and you can listen to it just all the way through and not get sick of it
over and over and over and over.
That's what I like to hear. So, all right, Mr. Brian Korban, your number 4 choice.
Yeah, like you, I like all kinds of music. I'm a very moody person, I guess. So I listen to music for what mood I'm in. This is a band that when I'm kind of just mellow and laid back, or just a rainy day or something, there's the band Dead Can Dance. It's just been one of my favorite bands forever, since the 80s, since I kind of discovered them. They have so many albums, it was really hard to choose one, but they have kind of a greatest hits collection called A Passage in Time, and it's a lot of their earlier stuff. They're still making albums, but this goes back to the early stuff, and something like that I could listen to every day as well. I was trying to think of, if I'm on an island and this is the last music I'm going to hear, what could I can't live without an album. That's why it was so hard to try to decide on records. And I realized this is one of them that, if I didn't have Dead Can Dance, there'd be a big hole in what I needed to hear. So it's
Can
fantastic.
You explain? Go ahead, but can you explain the overall tone of the band? I've never heard of the band, so I'd like to educate some folks on.
On
it's
very
is it a pop band. Is it a I don't know,
Middle Eastern sounding. Lisa Gerrard, if you know the movie Gladiator. You know, she does soundtracks for anything Middle Eastern in movie. They kind of discovered Dead Can Dance. Wow, this would be great in our movie. So now it's kind of, you know, a sound that's overplayed a little bit, but they use all like African instruments or Turkish instruments, and everyone in the band plays a different instrument. They have a live album that's just fantastic. You see the video, and they all just trade over instruments and playing different drums, and it's fantastic. And everything is a classic instrument in it. They have keyboards involved, but that's how I would describe it best.
The band is called what again? Dead
Can Dance.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I tried to get pictures of them, like you hold the album covers up, so I tried to get them on my phone. So I'm gonna see if this works.
What we should have done is you sent me pictures so I could just put the pictures up in the
I don't know if you guys. Let me see. That's what the album looks like. Dead Can Dance. Oh, that worked out good. I'm going to do that for a minute.
So, all righty. Well, dude, that's a choice I'm going to have to look up. So I appreciate that, Brian.
Great band. It's a good band. Yeah.
Sean, the floor is yours, sir.
Number 4. Man, this was so fucking tough. Anyway, so I'm going to say that every time it's my turn. I went with Creator Terrible Certainty as my number 4 because it's just so fucking extreme. Just as growing up, that was something. I mean, just German thrash to me was very, you know, big for me. Being a drummer too, you know, Destruction. You got Running Wild. You got, you know, all those bands. But Creator was a very important band to me. That's a very heavy record from beginning to end. There's not a track on there that I don't like. Production, you know, it's the typical thrash production of that time. It's not bad. I mean, obviously through time it got better doing records, but yeah. In fact, I think the way that it's produced, it gives it kind of that dark, raw value. Really, I think it's just really, it's like the real thing. You know, it's the real deal. There's no covering anything up in that. You know, that's pre-Pro Tools. So what you heard is what you got, and is what was really happening in that room at that moment. So. Love that record. Great players. One of my all-time favorite thrash bands.
And I got to add to this point too. I think that was like right before the Berlin Wall fell, or either immediately.
About 85, I think 85, I believe.
So my point is all those German records were pissed off for a reason. You know, they were kind of like they literally couldn't get out of there. So it was like, you know, it was probably an important thing to, you know, to have those kind of records. But why that specific one, and not like Extreme Aggressions or Pleasure to Kill, or like what about that specific one did it for you personally?
Oh, I think just some of the tracks on there. I love all their albums, but I think this album in particular, there was not a single song that I did not like. You know, you got your albums and you listen to them and you like some tracks, but you're like, I think I like the next one better, and you skip over some. This one, you don't skip over any of them. And I also think Extreme Aggression is the same for me. That's a later one, but you know, Pleasure to Kill I like. There's some tracks that I could do without or whatever. Flag of Hate's another, but there's just something about Terrible Certainty. It's just, and also that was my being in the thick of, you know, I just discovered a lot of heavy stuff and at that time, and that just really again takes me back to my era of when I was listening to, I mean, I was saving my lunch money just to go to my closest record store to go buy an import from fucking Germany. And, you know, I discovered a lot of bands just from looking at the covers. Like, this has got to be fucking good. Look at this cover, you know.
That's how you did it, for
yeah.
sure.
And usually 99% time, you know, you're right. But sometimes you get, you know, something like Ghost and be like, fuck, this is fraud. But yeah, anyway. So I think that's a great album. Because beginning.
Hey, we just got offered the Ghost tour. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, right. Hey, I didn't say I wouldn't take it. I'm just saying that. Yeah, for sure.
Well, it looks like I'm going to see Ghost now.
Yeah,
now okay, so Desert Island, all-time favorite guitar player ever. I can't not be on the Desert Island and not listen to my favorite guitar player ever. And of course, I'm talking about the mighty Frank Marino, and I'm doing Mahogany Rush 4, right? obviously you guys probably saw this coming, at least for a Mahogany Rush or Frank Marino record. I had to have one in. Come on. If it's a Desert Island, it's like the last thing I'm listening to. It's this one. And I think all the songs are really good on this, especially the title track. The last track on this is just fucking mind blowing. And I keep replaying that song over and over and over again. So, I would probably be doing the same on a Desert Island with this thing. It's just playing it over and over again. And what's funny is so when I interviewed Frank, I asked him just about the album cover and like what it represents, because I don't know what the fuck it is that I'm looking at here. And he told me, he literally said, I can't tell you. It's a secret. Like it's a secret. And apparently this artist passed away like literally like a year or two after it was made. So I still don't know what the cover represents, but it's a great record and start to finish just rules. So yeah, Mahogany Rush 4.
A lot of good drugs back then, man. I'm sure he was feeling it back then.
Sometimes it's better to not have things explained and you make them up in your own mind.
That would be a whole other topic where like put the mystery back in rock and music in general and not have to explain everything. And it's probably like ironic that we're on a talk show talking about it, right? But it's some things are better left unsaid, and just enjoy it for what it is. But yeah, I'm not going to be on a Desert Island record without a Frank Marino record. So there you go. Shannon, go ahead.
Right on. All right. I'm still keeping it heavy. The next one for me is Motorhead rock and roll album. To me, this is the greatest rock and roll album ever made. And Motorhead's one of the greatest bands ever. So
we are Motorhead.
Everything about this album, man, there's just like you were saying about Terrible Certainty, Sean, this is the same thing for me. Not a song you can skip. If you skip it, you're missing something.
Absolutely.
Kind of got to go back and re-listen. And it's another one. No matter how many times you listen to it, it never gets old.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
a great record.
Amazing band, amazing album.
Dude, I don't know what it was about the 80s, man, but Motorhead literally inspired every single fucking 80s band out there. They were like, I don't know what it was. Maybe Brian can fill us in on that, but I still have not understood. And I've asked Steve Gaines that same question where it's like, what about Motorhead did it for everybody in LA? So
they did.
They
for
really
everybody
did.
in the world for heavy music, for sure.
Sure.
I mean, they were back.
I'm talking specifically in the speed metal 1980s category. That was just, yeah. So, anyway.
Yeah. God, and that's the thing with the whole. You don't know how many albums Motorhead albums I want to put on this list. It's like fuck. It's like, oh.
Go with the greatest hits. That's
you don't realize that I'm changing it right now as we speak. I'm still like fuck. Oh.
But even still with the greatest hits from Motorhead, it still wouldn't be enough because it's like I want to hear this period and this period. Oh my gosh, yeah, and then like we can go on a whole. That's again another episode which we're gonna have to talk about, right? Top 5 Motorhead. Holy shit! All right, Brian, go ahead. You're number 3.
Okay. I'm going to go with another band that's influenced me very lyrically, and I'm going to go with U2's War. Might not be something you'd expect out of me, but always a huge fan of U2, especially the early stuff. I mean, they're still playing now, and I really haven't kept in touch with them lately, but this was an album. They were young. You could see just finding themselves. And Bono's lyrics are just so poetic and full of conscience and young and aggressive, and just an album. Again, I used to listen. I'd be playing maybe baseball or something with my kid, and I'd blast it in my car, and I could just every song I absorb, and I realized that this was another one. It came right to me, one of the first picks that I knew I had to have, just to survive if I didn't have any music. This would be one of them. So,
and I got to ask real quick: is this an album where like it's like every single note just like emits emotion for you, kind of thing? Because that's kind of what the vibe that I'm kind of getting from what you're talking about is. It's like
it takes me there. There's so many great songs in it. It's aggressive, and there's these mellow songs, and the tones, the edge you could see he was just discovering his instrument at that point. I mean, A Sword of Homecoming is another beautiful album, which they made right after this one. But for some reason, this was the album that touches me. I guess mostly lyrically. Bono was so hopeful, and you listen to the lyrics and everything is just, you could see how his life turned out, and what he was singing back then is just fabulous, because he was pushing towards something magical, and he found it through the years, you could see. But this is him when he was young and just writing so powerful. You know, still amazes me that what he got out of himself for that record.
And how do you apply it to your specific way of writing lyrically?
I don't know. I don't think I do. I'm just influenced by sounds and emotion. Like I said, I can be hot one day and mellow the next day. And so this is, I kind of go, I can write anything. I don't think this would influence Heretic in any way. Maybe it does, but it's just something that I would definitely need in my life, you know. So
I love it. I love hearing all the different diversity between all of us. It's great, you know. So, Sean, go ahead. What's your next choice here?
I went with Merciful Fate's "Don't Break the Oath" because I love that era. I mean, my introduction to King Diamond, obviously. That lineup: Michael Dinner, Hank Sherman, Timmy Hansen, Kim Ruz on drums. I love Melissa. There's just something about "Don't Break the Oath." I think every song on that album's, again, beginning to end, it's dark. I love the production on it because it's kind of gritty, and you know, it sounds really cool.
Well, sounds pretty cool. So obviously it's
he's deep in thought. That's what he's
yeah.
You were frozen there for a while, Shannon.
Yeah, but I was just saying that his lyrics are so dark and enough to scare the shit out of you as a kid, you know. So if that impacted me in that way, this must be cool, is my theory. It worked. He was trying to sell something, and he did. I still love King Diamond to this day. I think he's cool. He's always had great players. And going into one that I couldn't put on my list, but wanted to, was Individual Thought Pattern Death, because it had Andy LaRocque on it, and and Gene Hoglan, of course. That shit's just, I mean, all the players that King Diamond pulls in, Mickey D, and it's just good, skilled musicianship, and it's heavy, and you know, it's just cool, you know. But on the Merciful Fate kick, it's a whole, almost very, I don't know. I always thought that Michael Dinner and Hank Sherman's guitar work was kind of Shankerish a little bit, you know, like some early UFO Scorpions type stuff. It was straight heavy metal. It was cool though, and there was moments where it was, you know, heavy. But I just love that record. Come to the Sabbath and just tunes like that. It's great. It's just a fantastic record to me. So I'm going with that as my number 3.
There's nothing to argue about that choice. So, great choice, man.
Yeah,
all right. So, like I said, I like an eclectic style of music here. So this is way outside of the, I guess, rock and metal realm, which is fine because it's my top 5 Desert Island albums. I'm a massive fan of like classical music. I'm sure a lot of the metal musicians that we know kind of probably are, but I personally am. And my favorite composer is Chopin, and I can't probably live without the Nocturne series. So this has both the Nocturnes and the Preludes. So I get the double 2 CD I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but I get the 2-in-1 bonus.
Extra.
But, yeah, I get the extra, right? But I can't live without something classical because I just love classical music so much. So yeah, I'm going with Chopin.
That's awesome. I love my share of that, man. 4 Seasons and all kinds of stuff like that. Good stuff. I love the Clockwork Orange soundtrack, Magpie Thieves. I think it's a lot of Beethoven on there, but it's just great stuff, man. Of course, they say metal derived from that, you know. It's the start, really.
Yeah, he was dark, yeah.
Isn't it? But great, man. That's a good choice.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Thank you. All right, sir.
All right. So the heaviest album on my entire list this time. It just gradually gets heavier and heavier.
Cat Stevens, go
It's
ahead.
my favorite death metal band of all time. They're called Edge of Sanity, and this is their second album. It's called Unorthodox.
Cool.
To me, like, holy shit, right? If you wanted to get punched in the face musically, this is the album to do it to you. It's the first time that clean singing has ever been done in death metal too, and the slight addition of keyboards at the time. And they're a melodic band, but they're so heavy that the melodic takes one path and the heaviness takes another path, and they just intertwine and separate as it goes throughout the whole album.
That's fantastic.
And to me, it's just amazing.
Now
Good
let me ask you real quick. I'm sorry to cut everybody off here, but Shannon, for you, when you first heard this, and this was kind of
Man, I mentally shat myself.
That's funny.
Mentally clapping. That's
great. It's great when music can do that to you. That's
right.
That's one
not
thing.
Physical.
Yeah.
No one smells it.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's a good choice.
But I guess what I'm going with is if this is indeed the first time that you've kind of heard clean singing in death metal, was it kind of like a little off-putting at first and you kind of got used to it? Or was it just killer right off the bat?
Well, I was still new to death metal because, like I had said, I joined the Marine Corps. When I joined the Marine Corps, thrash was huge. I went to Okinawa for a year. I came back and there's no thrash. Everything's death metal now. So, like, having to adjust to this new style of heavy music didn't gel with me at first. So when the riffs were really on-putting. Like, yeah, give me more. And the growls, it's a little rough. But yes, once that clean singing part came in, it hooked me. And then I caught the death metal thing. It's like how it's so contrasting. So yeah, loved it.
Interesting choice there. I love it. So, Brian, go ahead.
I chose a band that was a huge influence on me as well. As I was discovering some of the heavier bands, I think we had a previous show about Led Zeppelin as one of my top bands of all time. But Black Sabbath was another one that just once I heard them, it scared me. They were so dark, and you hadn't heard stuff like that. What he was just suggesting and singing about, and which you find out later he's just singing about peace or whatever. But at the time, you thought, oh, this band is scary. Dark, heavy. They have I don't know if it's sanctioned by the band or not. I don't know where I got it, but it's called Under Wheels of Confusion. It's a 4 CD set, and it covers every singer. So it covers mostly 2 CDs of Ozzy and then some Dio, Gillan, and it's got
Tony Martin.
What was the last singer for The Shining?
Tony Martin.
Tony Martin.
Yeah. That's
so it's got a little. It's got it for that. I'm on an island. I still get Dio. I have to have Dio in my life. He's my favorite singer. And it's all the great Black. It's the best collection if you can find it. I recommend buying it. It's fantastic. I mean, Black Sabbath has their own, but here I got a picture of it. I'll show you.
I wonder. I guess it's not really cheating. We said any record, so I guess a box set would.
That's
yeah. I guess
kind of what I did.
Do we consider top 5 box?
I don't know if we can make this one out.
Oh yeah, I see.
Oh wow.
That looks like
it
looks like a.
I've never even heard of that.
I looked up collections online to get the cover, and I couldn't find it because I couldn't remember the name of the collection that I had, and it wasn't anywhere. It's almost like it's not sanctioned by Black Sabbath. So I found my CD collection and looked up the title of it, and as soon as I typed in Under Wheels of Confusion, it was there. So
now, where did you get that compilation, if you don't mind me asking, or that box set?
Like I said, I would have just bought it at a CD store. I found it and said, "Oh my God, I got to have this." It's massive. It covers every album. It's just amazing. It's got about 4 songs off every album. So I mean, there's a ton of music.
Wow.
And it's all the good songs. It's not just Iron Man and Paranoid. I mean, it's everything. It's really good album. So look for that one. If you can find that one I highly recommend it.
I know that there's
the best Sabbath collection.
2 records that I think for sure one that Ray Gillen sang on as well. And that was with Eric Singer on drums. I think it's
The last album they
Idol?
covered on this one was Eternal Idol. So Tony Martin, I think they've
Tony
worked with a couple guys since then, and
maybe
I
he
am the
just
same
did a few
thing.
tracks on it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
he's certainly on there. I don't know if he did the full album, but I know that Ray Gillen did sing.
Yeah.
That's the album. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did the demo. He didn't actually sing on
Oh,
it.
he did the demo. Okay.
yeah,
I knew
he was
on there somewhere.
yeah.
Which
Well, he
love-
did the album. He did the
No, but-
album. They just re-recorded. They erased his tracks and re-recorded the tracks.
I think it had to do with like drugs or something like that, or he wasn't like he was flaky with the. He was a mess. So
great singer, but yeah, he was kind of a douche in the end. In fact, when he was in Badlands, you guys all may know the story. They refused to release any of their material just because of what had happened with what he did.
you're talking the label did, yeah. That was part of the settlement, though.
Yeah,
that was
Yeah.
part of the
they
case.
were on Atlantic, and yeah, they said fuck anything he did. We're not going to release any more of his
Was it
music.
Atlantic or Warner Brothers? I can't remember at that.
Well, that's
point.
Warner Electra Atlantic. It's all
Okay.
same. It's kind of a
Same
subsidiary.
thing.
But yeah, I mean, it was bullshit to hear what he did. But I loved him as a singer. Great.
He didn't do very much. I mean, he did some backup vocals on like Savage's Hall of the Mountain King. He did Badlands. He did a couple other things, but he didn't do very much in his career, in my opinion.
No.
But
Yes.
regardless of the fact, Sean, what's your number? Are we on 2? I can't even remember at this point.
Yeah, we're on
It's
2.
fast.
Yeah.
By the way, I just wanted to tell you that I'm erasing them as we go because I'm hearing you guys. I'm like, fuck, there's more. I want to, after we're done with this 5, I want to say, let me show you the 5 that I originally were going to do.
You got to admit, though, that pick was really good. I've got Old
Dude, that
Sabbath,
was-
Dio.
You go across
Dio
the
Sabbath's
board.
got Heaven and Hell and Mob
You
Rules.
get the whole
on that. Oh my God.
spectrum.
It's
And I was
I got
going to say,
15 albums out of one.
my next one was going to be Mob Rules, but I took it off because I don't think we should all have the same shit. So
Why
I'm
not?
gonna go.
Yeah, but we're on 4
It's
separate
your
desert
island.
island, dude.
Yeah.
It's your island. I'm
Oh,
not
true.
even going to be hearing the same albums as you guys. So
Well, I'm going to do number 2 is going to be, and this is a tough one too. And it's not I love their entire body of work. Their entire catalog is great to me. They're a very important band to me growing up. But I'm going to go into the middle of their catalog and pick as one of my favorites, Penetration Point by Nasty Savage. I love that record. I love every song on it once again. And I mean, they got kind of proggy a little bit in a really cool, heavy way. And Abstract Reality, which was an EP they did previous to that, which was the introduction of here's what our new stuff's going to be like. I think they got fantastic songs on that as well, which is very prog oriented. And I love that kind of music. One of my favorite records that I couldn't list on here because there's only 5 was Fate's Warning, Awaken the Guardian. I love that record. So I had to omit that so I'm like Nasty Savage. I like a lot better. I love Fate's Warning, but this one was very dear to me. There's a few bands that I hold close to me, and that's one of them. And I still love them to this day. And I had to pick and choose. Brian was with me that day. Both bands are playing here in LA at the same time, and I need to fucking decide which one I'm going to. And obviously, since we became friends with these guys, I had to, keep my word and tell them I was going to be at their show when we went to see Blood Feast. So, Blood Feast and Nasty Savage are very important to me. And so that's what I went with my number 2 as far as Nasty Savage being the Penetration Point record.
a very obscure choice. That's a great record. I mean that you can't beat the self-titled record.
Welcome Wagon.
No. That came out after. I'm talking the first record.
You're talking about just
You
Nasty
can't
Savage.
you can't beat that record for me.
Oh
so.
yeah, that was my introduction to him, and I'm like, fuck, these guys are incredible. Yeah,
Amazing.
Great
Amazing. I love that. And the fact that the blabbermouth guy hates Nasty Savage just makes me love him even more. So
How do you hate Nasty Savage?
because some people don't have good taste, so it's
that
fine.
was some of the best production as
yeah.
far as drums go too, with Jim Morris and Morris Sound Studios. I mean,
It
just
was
as
amazing.
a drummer, Curtis Beeson's drum sound was just fucking incredible, and he's just a fantastic drummer.
And I will add to this, he's severely missed in Nasty Savage.
Oh,
Okay, I'm just gonna say that.
I don't know who the new guy is.
Well, I
Not
don't mean to
good.
put anybody down, but it seems like a lot of the bands were like the drummer held so much weight, like and I my all-time favorite metal band still to this day is Metal Church, and I still think that Kurt Arrington is like the missing link to why they sound the way they do today. So, you know, he was like the special link to that whole project, right? Just like Curtis for Nasty Savage. So I totally agree with that. So, but okay, so I guess my number 2, if we had number 2 or whatever, I guess it doesn't really matter. Now, if we're on a desert island, and I'm very proud of my own work here, and so I can't be on a desert island and not have one of my own records here. So I'm picking with Charring the Rotting Earth, just because it'll remind me that I at least did something with my own life. So I gotta go with
while you're rotting on the island.
Yeah, while I'm rotting on the island, at least I can listen to something, you know.
That's a good choice, because that's a good one too.
Well,
you didn't tell me we don't get to have a guitar on the island.
No, we don't. We just get to listen to our own
this is
stuff.
horrible.
But I guess my thinking of it was since nothing was off the table, and I mean, I guess for selfish reasons, I just want to remind myself of, you know, what I originally did. So I'm very proud of this specific record in question. It seems like a lot of people dig it. So
yeah,
I'm going with that.
Man.
Very cool.
Rad album. So good choice. All right. Now the one of these things is not like the other.
Is it Death Brigade? Please tell me you put Death Brigade.
Not even close. my top pick is the Bee Gees One Night Live. That was done here in Vegas.
Oh, cool.
What year? What year was that?
That was 97. No, sorry, 99.
I want that on my
99.
list too. Me too, please.
I think I saw the video of the live concert of that in Vegas.
Yeah, they had it on PBS, and then they had it on. There was a few more things. They released it on DVD and on CD.
I saw it. Yeah, great show.
Holy shit!
Great. Those guys are underrated players, man. Those hooks and that's
highly
man, for sure.
And all the songs that, like, I knew they were songwriters for others as well, but I didn't know that they sang and wrote The Islands in the Stream that Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers did together, and then they wrote the theme song for Grease that dude did, and it was. So when you hear it, and they're such amazing musicians, and the backing band they have too, it's just they touch your soul. That's just all there is to it.
That's a great choice.
I remember growing up, and those guys were huge. Them and KC and the Sunshine Band, another great band.
Love them.
You know, that's a whole nother. What's your favorite funk band?
Oh my God, we could do a top 5 of that. Like,
period,
dude.
It's trouble, man.
Oh,
that's good.
That's a great choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man,
it's a good choice, man.
Thank you.
Again, I wasn't shocked that it made your list, because I know how much you love the Bee Gees. So, you know.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. So, all right, Mr. Brian, your last pick, I guess.
I really toiled with trying to pull some heavy bands and some heavy metal music. And I ended up realizing I could not do my 5th album without my favorite guitar player, Jimmy Page. I had to pull the trigger on Zeppelin 4. I know on a desert island I'm going to be dying to hear, I'm going to kill myself later. But I went with Zeppelin 4 just because of how much it's meant to me over the years, and the guitar solos. Stairway to Heaven guitar solo. To this day, if it's on, I'm listening. Great songs from start to finish. I guess I'm kind of dating myself. A lot of my stuff's a lot of older music, but it was really hard not picking something heavy. But I went with that one, Zeppelin 4.
I want to add to this real quick. I think that album literally just turned 50 and still is timeless as ever. So I just got to throw that out there.
Yeah, 73, right? No, 70.
About 73, 74, something like that.
Okay.
Oh,
I just turned 50 and I was born in 71. I think it's 73. No, I think it is 71.
I think it's 71.
Right.
I think
69 was the first one.
69 were the first 2, right? And then
And
Seven-
then
Oh, so that's Zeppelin 4. Oh,
70
shit.
and then
yeah,
71.
it's probably 71.
Yeah, I think it
something
just
like
turned
that.
50. So I mean,
Yeah.
that
I think
tells
you're
you how
right.
amazing that album is,
Mhm.
truly. So
I think
and
you're
timeless.
right, man.
That's a great choice, man. It's a great choice. So
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it.
for now, right?
Yeah, until I get
until
bored
you-
on the island. Then
Yeah,
I
until
need
you get
to-
bored on the island with the
Damn, I wish I
five
would've-
records you chose.
The island.
Should've
You
put
realize
on-
you forgot everything, man. Oh, that's 71.
Should have put on some Heretic, like
70 and 71.
Dude, again, like I had to choose something from my catalog just because I would miss it, dude. I'd be like, what did I do again? Oh yeah, I did something.
It is.
You know,
Very smart.
Yeah.
put a Reverend album on. I don't know, whatever you want on it, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay. So this is my last one, huh? Now I said that I want to let you in on what I was planning on originally after we finish this. This will be the bonus little thing. But I went with, God, this is so tough. But my number one album will have to be Hemispheres by Rush.
Wow.
Just because. I don't think I need to say too much about that. I mean, and again, there's so many great Rush albums, and that was hard to just pick that one, But I left off Kiss Alive 1, which I was looking to put on Cheap Trick, Budokan, the complete concert, and stuff like that. Fastway's first record. These are just very important records to me. Regatta de Blanc by the Police, The Cars' first record.
Oh, that's a great record too.
There's so many great albums out there. I was like, and but I'm going to go with Hemispheres just because it's just a fantastic record, again, from beginning to end. Being a drummer, I love Neil Peart, actually, obviously. I love Rush more than anything for Alex Lifeson's playing, though, believe it or not, because he's just so underrated. He writes fantastic, dark stuff, man, and just, he's just great. The whole band is great. And I hold them dear to my heart. Rush is very important to me. Rush, Kiss, Ted Nugent, Van Halen. Oh, Van Halen. Fair warning. I didn't put a single Van Halen album on the list.
I'm shocked, dude.
I think it would be kind of typical of me. So I wanted to be non-typical, and that's why I went with what I did. Obviously, I hold all that stuff close to me too. So, but I wanted to be a little different, and that's what I went with. And Hemispheres is just great. I love the opening track. Just everything about that record is just great.
The one thing we left out is, are we ever going to be rescued and we can come back? I was kind of planning on being rescued. So
you don't know is they're going to make a TV show about it. It's going to be called.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, what if they put? What if they put us four and only all of our records that we chose, and so we had to pick and choose between 20 records, right?
It'd be great if we were all four on the island. We all had our section.
We just share our music and
yeah. It sounds like we all appreciate everybody's list, so we'll be just fine,
Yeah, right.
Nobody brought Mariah Carey's Christmas
CD
album.
in a bottle. Put it in there.
CD in a bottle. Yeah. There you go.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Dude, Sean makes a great point though, man. I want to go around and before I get to my after my number one choice, I want to end with Brian Korban on this one. And Sean gave us his kind of honorable mentions, and I'd like to get everybody's honorable mentions if we could. Now, my number one choice, my all-time favorite rock band ever, period. I think that they're the greatest band in the world. Is Queen, and I'm going with Queen too because I'm a prog guy. I love Queen. I love Freddie Mercury, and this album encompasses almost everything I love in music. Period. There's no hits on it, which again, that's not the reason why I chose it. I love every song off of it. It's
a great album.
It's almost an operatic progressive journey that I don't get from any other record, and they never really sounded quite the same after this, in my opinion. I think the first two just hold a very special place for me, and I think this is when they were really raw and just a great fucking band. I mean, to me, there's no better band than Queen when it comes to rock music, and I guess you can argue Mahogany Rush for me, but yeah, there's nobody better than Freddie singing wise. So yeah, Queen too. Got to go with it. And
Great
just
album.
for Ogre Battle itself, that song rules. So, yeah.
I learned of that album from I was doing a recording session at Matt Sorum's house, probably in the early 2000s, and I got to know him pretty well on a personal basis. And we were chatting in his living room, and we were talking about influences, and we were talking, we'd mentioned Queen, and Roger Taylor just able to sing and play like he did, and just his drum sound on those albums it's just fucking cool. And I just never forget Matt Sorum saying, "Dude, have you heard Queen too?" He's a lot older than me, so I'm like, I'm not familiar with that. I came into Queen in the mid 70s, around jazz and News of the World.
News of the World, yeah.
Oh, and Day at the Races, Night at the Opera. But no, I didn't go back that early, and so I'm like, I'm gonna go check this out since Matt Sorum said check it out. He said that's one of my all-time favorite records. I was like, I thought that was cool, and I see why now, because I did buy that record, and I'm really into it. Yeah, it's cool. I like that there is no hits on it, because you're getting Queen, the Queen that you don't know.
Well, that's why I did not check out the record at first, because I was like only Queen hits guy.
Yeah.
And then when I started working at the place I work at now, my boss was like, you need to check out Queen too. It's my favorite Queen album. I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. And then once I heard it, I'm like, well, now I don't like some of the hits, but I love the hits at the same. It's like one of those things where like I want both. So, and
you can have both, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
They are the same band. They just grew.
It's just like amazing their journey itself, like the sound change. And I guess you can argue over certain albums that you don't like, but man, they've done something different almost every record. They literally have like a super eclectic style within their own band, man. They just had that kind of range. So yeah, I can't go on a desert island and not have Queen, not hear Freddie Mercury. It ain't gonna happen.
I don't think there is a Queen album that's bad. In my opinion, I think Hot Space is where they probably stopped. But I like The Game a lot, even. But Heart Attack, and there are just so many great records, and it's all heavy. I love Queen Live Killers. It's a fantastic live record.
I almost chose that. That was a cross between the two. I was going to choose Live Killers for the double disc and live and whatnot, and then Queen too. But yeah, I mean, that's great choice, dude.
Ones, man. Yeah, great fucking band for sure. I got the Live at Hammersmith show on DVD and Blu-ray. It's fucking great. Oh shit, like I think it's from 77, 74.
I thought it was like 74.
I thought it was the News of the World. It might have been 77. I don't know. I got to check it, but yeah. In fact, do I have it right here?
Well, while he looks for it, Shannon, why don't you give us a couple? Well, actually, wait, hold on. Some of my honorable mentions, real quick. Can't forget me. Is Van Halen 2? I gotta have Van Halen. I would love to have had Van Halen 2. Ted Nugent's Catch Scratch Fever, because that album just means so much to me. And then I guess my man, this is tough. My third would probably be Master of Puppets. Those are the three that I kind of left off. So there you go. The categories, see? There you go.
For me, it'd probably be Black Sabbath, the Ozzy Osbourne years. I remember buying that in Okinawa. It was 4 discs.
Oh, wow.
And it costed me a shit ton of money, because everything over there is way more expensive than it is here. I'd probably have to put down Stay Hungry from Twisted Sister. Yeah. Yeah, that's really all I can think of. I mean, there's so many. I mean, when your mind starts, the gears start turning, your ears are about to explode,
Yeah, Shannon, you just brought it to my attention how great Twisted Sister. You got Under the Blade and You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. That's
Under the Blade.
Very impactful. Yeah, I mean, I was a kid, man. I was like, fuck, man, this is great. Like Def Leppard's On Through the Night and, High and Dry were great records. Yeah, I mean, yeah, anyway, not to cut you off, but certainly you just brought back another great, just like Wasp, the first Wasp. I even had Fuck Like a Beast on the EP. Like, I was really into collecting vinyl back in my early years, so I had a lot of cool shit now that I think about it. But Alice Cooper's Rock Show is another great live album that I forgot to mention. But yeah, anyway, yeah, you're right, man. Twisted Stay Hungry was a very important record. Great album.
I'm surprised nobody mentioned. I'm surprised Shannon didn't mention it too. Was Quiet Riot. So I was.
Well, okay. Quiet Riot is what got me into metal, and Quiet Riot is like the base, but I don't like all their songs.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like that Mental Health album, I like half the album. The other half totally sucks. Then when it comes to Condition Critical, I like half that album, and then the other half sucks. Yeah. And then it gets to Quiet Riot 3, I like one song, and then I'm done.
Different players.
Enough of Quiet Riot.
Just one guy in the band, I think, right? At that on QR3. I know Sean McNabb, who was on the bass. Was that Chuck Wright or Sean McNabb?
Chuck Wright was, yeah. Sean McNabb.
Was that Pat Ashby on drums, or was that Benally?
Frank and Benally.
On QR3?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but QR3 had Kevin Dubrow on vocals at the time, but Chuck Wright was on guitar and Carlos Cavazo was on.
Oh, okay.
Chuck Wright was on bass. Yeah.
I thought Quiet Riot 3 had Paul Shortino of fucking.
That was the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, I always get him confused. Again, I always get him confused. So.
Yeah, they left Kevin Dubrow in Hawaii and said get fucked and came back to the States, and that's when they got Paul.
Yeah.
So, all righty, Brian. Let's end with you. What are some of your kind of honorable mentions if you had to choose?
Queen Jazz was an honorable mention. That was one of my favorite albums. That was the first time I got to see him live was Jazz. Like you said, the live album was so influential. UFO, Strangers in the Night was another one I wanted to throw on.
Great album.
Heavy-wise, I was thinking a Vulgar Display of Power, Pantera, just the guitar riffs and such. That was a very powerful album for its time, I think. It's a little overplayed now, but really still, when I listen to it, it still moves me, you know. Slipknot was a band that I was going to put on the third album, the Subliminal Verses. That's an album that if I put it on, I'm stuck and I'm listening to it. It'll move me, you know. What was another one I was going to throw on? That's about the top that I could think of that I had to leave off. UFO, The Strangers in the Night was a tough one. That was almost made the list because of just the, you know, if you need guitar playing the Schenker, you can't do better. Like he's my, you know, him and Page were my two main influences. So, but I went with Zeppelin 4 on that one. So I left Strangers off. So.
It's awesome. Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate you guys giving us a couple minutes. What an honor it is for me and Shannon here. I'm sure I can speak for him in saying this, but this is fucking awesome. So I really appreciate, you know, you guys taking a few minutes of your time to do this with us, have some fun. Hopefully we can do some more in the near future. And another episode of Poppitt's Corner, guys. We're out.
Cool,
cheers.
Man. Thank you, fellas. Take care now.